Hey, we're going to make bone broth today. If you're not familiar with bone broth, it is made from bones sourced from really good source, pasture raised and finished chicken, beef, and lamb. And it's super good for healing your gut, super good for your immune system, and really good for your overall health. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make it simple and easy and cheaply. To get started, you're going to need chicken bones or beef bones, apple cider vinegar. This is raw apple cider vinegar. I collect my onions and garlic in a bag and put it in the freezer, so I'm using my leftovers there. You can include salt and pepper if you'd like. These bones are from a chicken that I cooked a whole chicken and saved the bones in the freezer, 2 whole chickens. And then you're going to need an Instant Pot or a crock pot, and then you're going to need some filtered water. We're going to pause here and talk about Instant Pot versus crock pot. In my Instant Pot, I do 2 rounds. Because the Instant Pot cooks so fast, I find I don't get a rich broth. So I do 2 rounds in the Instant Pot. In the crock pot, I do 2 days. I prefer a richer broth and pulling more of that good stuff out of the bones. So whatever you have, either one will work. You can even make this on your stove, but you're going to have to cook it for a really long time. So that's why we're using the Instant Pot or the crock pot. And then I fill it to the max line in your Instant Pot. I fill it up to that. Whoops. And this is water, not sweet tea. I give it a little stir and break up those bones a little bit. The bones are already thawing. I set my Instant Pot to the sealing mode first. Then I set it to soup, broth, and I hit that twice. So it's at 4 hours with high pressure on the more setting. And then I just leave it until it starts. The Instant Pot will go for 4 hours, and then once that's done, I put it through another cycle. And then I let either release the pressure or I naturally let it release. I don't currently have a crock pot because mine kicked the bucket. But if you're using a crock pot, use your largest crock pot. I believe maybe a 5-quart or bigger is usually is nice. Do the same method, but put it on high until it gets really hot and bubbly, and then I turn it down to low. And then I let it simmer for 2 days, 2 whole days, 48 hours, or give or take. If it loses any water in the crock pot, just add a little bit of water back to it after that first day, even into the second day. Okay, let's see what it looks like. This did sit overnight. Yep. Here's the inside of the bone. See how soft it is? We could even cook those bones a second time if we wanted. I have my colander inside a pot in the sink. So I lift it up and I just press all that juice out of it. Not too close, not too close. See, the juice is coming out. Just all that good stuff out of it. And you can stop it. I wanted to show you guys how soft these bones are after cooking. You can just totally mash them up. You can even use these again if you wanted to really pull more of that out. Here's our broth, and it's ready to store now. So here's our broth, nice and rich. I'm going to freeze these in pint-sized jars. I prefer pint-sized jars because I find quart-sized jars are more likely to expand. The broth will expand and it could pop the jars. So I use pint-sized jars, and I'll show you guys how much headspace I use. You also could use quart-sized freezer bags or even smaller freezer bags, but I just find for us the jars store well and they're in the freezer, and I just like it a lot better than having a bunch of bags, more bags in my freezer. I leave an inch or more of headspace because when these freeze they will expand a little, but I haven't had any trouble so far with the pints being good in the freezer. I had got 8 of that. I use regular ball lids and rims to go on these. These are actually used, but since I'm just freezing it, they work fine. They are ready to go. Since these are hot and the broth is really hot, either leave them out and let them cool down before you put them in the freezer, or I like to stick mine in the fridge and let them cool down, and then I put them in the freezer. The same for bags. Let them cool down a little bit before you put them in the freezer. I label mine with the date and what it is. So 629 chicken. I do that before I put them in the fridge or freezer. Here's the broth cooling down in the fridge, and you'll start to see it form a layer on top. That's totally normal, and that's just fat and all good stuff for your gut.